And 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, that's definitely too much power. Whoa! Oh my, okay. I'm not... Greetings and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. I'm Mateo, and in this episode we will be landing on the surface of the moon, or at least I hope so. Let's get right into the content here. Just want to remind everybody, this is patch 1.6. It's as new and up to date as I can possibly be. Started a new career for 1.6. Okay, in the last episode I had done a flyby of the moon on my third flight, I believe, and we have 156 signs to spend, which that is not going to get us. Actually, I think it is. That is just enough to get us to fuel lines, and that right there is going to allow me to get to the moon. It might be a little overkill. I would love to have been able to get some batteries, but for this expedition we're going to go without batteries, which just means we can't really spend as much time, say if we have extra fuel on the surface of the moon, we can't spend time hopping around, going to other biomes. We can just go there, land, and come home. We should be fine. Alright. This build through is going to be a little longer than most because I have to set up asparagus staging. Okay, so setting up to use the fuel lines for the first time. I'm going to make my lander have 3 legs. I don't want 2 because it'll probably fall over. I don't really want 4. Because it's just too much weight. I took the engines off the outside, the setup I had there. And then under fuel tanks, we have fuel lines. And in this instance, it's okay for the symmetry to be on, but for the bottom half, we want to make sure we turn symmetry off. There you go. I'm confident that this will be able to land on the surface. However, I'm going to want to move these tanks down a bit, because that's where I'm going to connect the legs to. And the legs just aren't long enough, probably. Alright. Symmetrical legs. We'll check to see if this is long enough just because it looks the best. I think that's long enough. If I needed it to go lower, you could clip a little bit, say like that for example. But if you needed it to go even lower, these 4 tools up here, well, we're on the first one, but the second one here, you click the part and you can drag this down. And it'll work perfectly fine. Even though it looks silly like that, it will work perfectly fine. However, that's not the case. We're going to make this look somewhat normal. I pushed F. See, if I hit F here, it changes what the offset is relative to, I guess is the best way to say it. I'm just going to move it in until it looks okay. Okay, then I'm going to go back to placement, the normal mode. That's plenty long enough here. I don't like actually the way, there we go, that's better. And then retract them for launch. I'm gonna throw some aerodynamics on there. Okay, except for batteries and solar panels, this is gonna make it home, no problem. And then, it'll be a crash course on asparagus staging. I encourage you to skip this part if you already know how to set up your asparagus staging, but we're just gonna try to fly through it here. I start off with 2 tanks. I tend to always use swivels myself. I just like how they have the built-in vectoring. The control's so nice. Once I got used to it, I never really wanted to go back. So I have 2 large tanks, and a swivel. I'm going to copy that. I do that by holding Alt and left clicking. I want 6 side decouplers. That looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks like 6. Always attach as high. Then I'm going to try to attach these on as well as I can. Maybe I'll move that down a little bit. Connect this now. That's not right. Okay, they look like they're on there straight, which is all I'm really checking. I'm trying to line up and see this part right here. Look straight. I like that shape too. I might want to move them up. I'm a little worried to mess with it. I have to click exactly this part right here. And now I can make it flush with the bottom if that's something I'm concerned about. Which I'm not, because I think I want to put nose cones on the top anyways. I just like the way it looks. Okay, we're going to go to fuel tanks, grab our fuel lines. Very important to turn your symmetry off here, as that will mess with the way these lines are set up. So it's going to connect, connect, and then on the third one we want to connect to the inside tank. If I can get my camera to go in there a little better, make it easier. So start here and connect inside. So the fuel lines follow the first one you click and go to the second one to click. So this will drain into this, and this will drain into this, and this will drain in the middle. I'm going to do the same pattern on the other side. Technically, that's the first. This will be the first tank to drop. This will be the second tank to drop. This will be the third. And then by the time we're using just this tank, we'll be in space, so TWR isn't a huge issue because there's going to be so much power. It's going to look ugly with these two because I know I didn't line that up to the other side very well. Let's try this again. Okay, now I'm just going to get my camera to the point where I can see the decouplers right here. You can tell this is the first, this is the first, this is the second, this is the second, this is the third, this is the third, and now we have to set up the staging to represent that exactly, or else we'll have big problems. I'm going to put all 7 engines on the bottom because we want that middle one launched at the start as well. I'm going to open up a couple extra stages here, and then I believe if you click one, it unselects it. Yeah, so I want this lit up and this lit up. Anything else, I'm going to left click and then drag the 2 that are left to be the first to drop. They should be across from each other. Do it one more time. I want this lit up and this lit up. So that's not the one. That's not the one. And now you can see we'll have 7 engines. We'll have 7 engines launch. These first 2 will drop. These second 2 will drop. And then these third 2 will drop. And then the middle engine will burn until we break this stage. Throw some nose cones on there. We're practically ready to go to the moon. Alright, I think... Let's see if it tells us it over. I think this is our 4th ship in the playthrough. Excellent. Check those fuel lines. That looks wrong. Something looks broken here. That's not a big deal. We'll just put this on here. That's better. I have not unlocked struts yet. So this is going to be very wobbly. That's a lot of power for just the decouplers to handle. However, I think we can pilot through that error. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to do a final check on staging. All 7. 2, 2, 2. The final one. Then we're down the lander mode. This is not correct. We'll fix this. We just want the engine going off before all the fuel gets launched off. That's preferable. Save this one more time. Alright, this should take us to the surface of the moon. This is actually overkill for that mission. This will take us to a lot of places. SAS on. Full power at the start. I think it's going to be way too much. We'll power down. Jebediah looks happy. He's ready. And 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, that's definitely too much power. Whoa! Oh my, okay. I'm not... Oh boy, we'll try this one more time. So technically, I guess it's the first time Jeb has died in this playthrough, but it's nothing we can't fix. SAS on, let's start with 50% throttle. That was pretty funny. That's not enough. Issue is, I think there's just too much power too quick. Looks like the wobble's under control. We made it higher than last time. See, lacking struts is a huge barrier. Nothing we can't overcome, though. Alright, guys. Like always, it's a typical launch. When each section of fuel here runs out, I hit my staging and that section will fall off. I'll see you in orbit. Okay, at this point, we've obtained orbit. It's fairly low at 80,000 meters. 80 kilometers, if you will. Okay, it's fairly even too, 79, 4, 87, so it's not really that even. That could easily be fixed. However, one thing you may notice if you played this a lot is this is a gray circle, and we're probably used to seeing this being colored differently, which indicates that I have not updated my tracking station. So for safety's sake, I'm just gonna quick save, just in case anything wonky happens. We're gonna go to the tracking station here. And we need to upgrade this. Whoops, I guess we need to go to the main facility map here. We're gonna right click on that and upgrade this. Which is going to upgrade not only the DSM power, which involves antennae being able to reach farther distances, but it will allow us to get patched conics. While I don't directly know what that is off the top of my head, I do know that we'll be able to do flight planning and see when paths intercept each other in the galaxy map view. However, to make that possible, mission control also needs to be upgraded. And these two working together, upgraded just once, will allow us to control our planning while in orbit. So we're going to go back to number 4 here and fly. Okay, we're back in our orbit, and you can see it went from gray to this beautiful teal color, which is more what I expect whenever I'm playing. We can click on the moon, set it as a target. This here shows if you have elliptical orbits, this shows the best point, I guess, where they would meet this line here. However, I'm just going to look at the moon here and add a maneuver node, which can be dragged around. So this is very adjustable. You can see right there, I gave it some prograde power, and it shows me when I'm going to intersect with the moon, and also the periapsis, which direction you're going to be going, rotating around it. It's just tons of good information. And when this is occurring here, you can also double click, and it'll show you here where you're going to be. That's awesome. So if we look at this, we know we're going to intercept here, and this is the path we're going to be is when we have a chance to have an orbit around it. Let's go. Just left click on this maneuver node. It's a pain, I know you can do it, but look at that. If I want this to be perfect, I have this targeted with that pre-planned route, but I can drag these things up and see what kind of changes are going to happen. I think that really makes it easier for beginners to get perfectly flat, level, non-elliptical, or non-inclined, that's the right word, orbits. And you can see right there, that's going to be beautiful. And it really just possible by setting this as our target. So I'm not going to mess with that because that looks perfect. We have 16 minutes until we get to that point. And I'm just going to time warp. You can also time warp to these points. You can click and warp to here. So there we go. We'll click and warp to there just in case. A lot of times if I do it manually, I'll space out and fly right by it. It's going only 50x because our orbit is so low. If this was larger here, it would be able to go much faster. Okay, we are facing backwards, which is a little scary. We want to start our burn at the 24-second mark. 24 seconds before the node and 24 after is preferable. Get my heading right on here. You'll notice it's not perfectly prograde, and that's because we made that small adjustment to get a more level orbit. We're gonna trust the system here. Wait for this to get down to half of this. Ideally, I mean, there's going to be a lot of instances where that's not the case, but here it is certainly the case. And full burn. Right on the blue marker. We have plenty of fuel. Just checking fuel every time I do that. You can use this up here, but since we have fuel in different stages, it's a little confusing. I just like to look at the stage bar here. This number's getting lower, obviously, but I want to really start fine controlling it when it gets very low. Because you could blast right by where you're trying to go. I'm going to shut it off completely now and just very gently try to get it perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but I'd like to try. Right at 0 meters per second. And I'm always on the blue dot. It knows more about the game than I do, and I'm willing to admit it. Oh, we're getting really close now. You can see the adjustments starting to show up. It's starting to move on the nav ball pretty fast, which means we're really, really close. 0.6, can I get 0, 0? Oh, that's close enough. So I'm going to close this. Click this check mark, and it closes it out. And that's our orbital view with Kerbal as the target. Sometimes the game doesn't let me target my ship. That's not a big deal. I can deal with that. But if I click on the moon itself, that's just very, very good. If you're just starting out and you're looking at that, you're doing great. Okay, so we're going to quickly warp out to here. Okay, at this point, I've just entered the sphere of influence of the moon. And this is just at the start. I want to burn retrograde right at this point. We're going to have enough power to get captured. I'm not worried about flying out into nowhere. And I just want to check my fuel as always. I mean, this last stage of what was supposed to get us in orbit has already made it here, which is awesome. And we have fuel to spare, which is just going to make our lander... This ship with batteries could go pretty far, is all I'm trying to say. So I'm going to warp it right to here. And then when I get to that point, I'm going to face retrograde. Because I want to slow down within the sphere of influence to become captured and orbit the planet. And we're going to use warp to stop on this. Just a quick pop. There we go, so we don't go sailing past it. Burn retrograde. I don't care if I run out of gas here. Fuel. I don't care if I run out of fuel here. There's our orbit. We'll try to get these 2 points to match. So we have a nice circular orbit. Now we're on the periapsis. Try to get it to 170 or so. I'd be happy with that. Oh, ran out of fuel, no big deal. Well, it's kind of a big deal. Now, my moon has its own satellite. My satellite has its own satellite now because I have no way to remove this from orbit until something crashes into it or destroys it, and that's unfortunate. At least that would be a very, very serious real-world problem. Not sure if it matters in Kerbal, to be honest. So, we separated staging. It didn't come on. I'm really worried about hitting the spacebar here, so I'm going to right-click Activate Engine. That way I don't have to worry about hitting spacebar and really messing up this whole mission. Which reminds me, always quick save if you're feeling nervous about something. We're right on the periapsis. Try to get perfectly retrograde. The control is great now. Wow. There we go. Right down to 170 like I wanted. And this is our lander. In this stage of the game. Beautiful. I love it. We could gather some science here. We haven't technically been in orbit, so let's use a couple of these instruments in here for that sweet completed the orbit science. We'll just use... Oh, well, it gave us credit for that last time, even though we didn't capture and get an orbit. Huh, interesting. Okay, so reset. Let's see if these give value. No, cool. All right, we're done in orbit. This is all for the surface. Interesting. I don't want that locked. Go away. I'm going to lower my periaps on the dark side, which will allow me to... It'll just allow me to control speed closer to the surface. Which, you don't have to be perfect at this point. Throw it on retrograde. Let Jeb do the flying here. Lower it down. Honestly, 50k, I think I can deal with. If it's a little lower, it's not fine. My biggest concern is staring at the warp screen, because it caps it, you know. If I'm at 5k, I can't even warp at all or something like that. We're going to get opposite the sunny side. I want to land where there's light. The old dark side of the moon. I missed the chance to say dark side of the moon there. Jeb's already all over getting retrograde for us. Hey, let's try to hit that. If I want to land here, I'm going to plan to land here. Oh, that's already probably too close for me. We'll fix it. If I want to land here, I plan to land beyond it, and it works out for me. Look at that cool crater. Maybe we'll visit that crater. Okay, guys. Retrograde is my friend here. My pilot's been on a few trips. He knows how to fly the ship better than me. Steady your hands, if you know what I'm saying. Just warping around. I don't want to crash on the surface. Let's see where we are. We're pretty far. We're going to get it to about here and then worry about controlling speed. Even though that's going to probably push our landing spot back. How are we looking? There's that sweet crevice. Here's the crater we're over. We're flying very fast. So I'm going to take control back, burn full retro, slightly upwards. Just burning, bleeding off the speed, controlled slowly. I could rush the landing a lot faster, but I kind of want to land somewhat close to this and check it out. Let's see how our path's looking. So we'd crash at this point. Let's see if we can get it right over. This is the highest point of our jump. After this point, we start falling. That's why I'm kind of pushing it up. Oh, that's not the way we want to face. We want to face this way a little bit. Start using more power. No atmosphere. I might as well get those legs out. That way I don't forget. Kill off all that horizontal momentum. Slow it right down really fast right here. At this point, I like this landing spot. This looks cool. Hopefully we don't fall in. We're high enough up where we can fix it. How's the fuel in these outer tanks? Almost half of it burned. And we're going to start falling. Doesn't look like we're going to fall in either. Cool. Let's let Jeb grab control here. As if he's controlling it and I'm just using a tiny bit of fuel, And then I hold Alt and hit the period key. We can go at 2x speed. And I like to do it this way sometimes, because if you're coming in at 80 meters per second and you got 4,000 to 5,000 meters to go, it takes a while. You can see our shadow. I'm going to drop surface speed. If yours says orbit, something's wrong. You want this to say surface? Just left click it. Alright, we're down to 38. Time warp to 1 here. Just kind of check everything. This is like sea level. I'm pretty sure when we land on top of this, it's going to be much greater than 0. So, controlling speed. Look at that beautiful view. I'm sure the YouTube upload quality will not do it justice, but this just looks so cool. Watching my shadow. More than anything, I don't know how to explain it. It's just in your gut. You see your shadow and you know how high you are. You just kind of, you can feel it. Control speed at this point because we're getting close. Let's get this down, right down to like 30. Which is still falling very fast. Our ship would just blow up. Look at that. This is huge. Watching that shadow. Controlling speed a lot. Hopefully this is level. It looks it. What a great spot. Okay, throttle, what's that, 33%? Nope, we're dropping it. Dropping that throttle, because I want this, you know, 1. 1 or less than 1 would be great. We're just barely giving it throttle. Check that fuel, plenty of fuel, half fuel in these tanks, and this right here is enough to get us home in the middle. Okay, getting that surface speed down a little lower. Okay, less throttle, more throttle, that's all I'm doing. I'm using control and shift. Those are the default keys, I believe. Tap, shift, tap, control. Tap, shift, tap, control. Tap, shift, tap, control. And then X will kill it. X. There you go, guys. Landed on the surface with just fuel, tons of fuel to spare. If I wasn't worried about running out of battery power, which is a very real problem, we could explore a lot of stuff here. What's this? This is the Moon's Highlands. So if I were to bounce over here, I'd get an entirely new biome. I'm not going to do it though, because running out of electricity is a very, very, very bad thing. We would not be able to control it, and there's no way to get home. Temperature, I gotta go through this quick. Temperature. Pressure data. Pressure data. Close. I don't think we can EVA. As you can see, we cannot EVA because we didn't update or upgrade our astronaut complex. No big deal. We'll remember to do it next time. Crew report's important though. It's a lot of free science. So we got 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these for the surface. We got some for flying high over the surface of the moon. I think I'm going to try on when we're close to the surface and flying, but battery power, it's just draining, just keeping us alive here. I'm going to shoot for, let's check this. I believe a 90-degree flight plan would go this way. And I want to go behind the moon. So if the moon's going around the planet this way, I want to shoot my ship this way. And we know launching this way would be a 90-degree launch. So let's go opposite that, a 180-degree launch, and just go flat 45, 180 until we figure out that what the game's going to give our flight trajectory. And then we'll respond from that. So our plan would be a 180 launch, so it's over here. That way I'm not going to focus on this part of my ship. I'm just looking at this part. So long, planet. I should have got a flag. No big deal. We'll upgrade that for the next flight. And 45 on the 180 line. Take those in, check fuel's fine, and let's see if we can get some extra science because we're close to the surface. It appears to be exactly what I was hoping to see. Log temperature. Log temperature. This is going to be a great first landing, whether or not we planted a flag. Okay, my plan. Going too slow. Give it full blast. My plan was for this. That's not right. That is not right. That is south. 90, the opposite of 90 is 270. Well, that was embarrassing. Nothing that our over-engineered ship can't compensate for. I'm a little beyond the 270 here because that'll pull over the direction displayed on your nav ball. And then there we go. That was the preferred plan. As you can see, it's going behind the moon. The moon is going this way and we are going this way, which is going to give us a nice slow. When we break the sphere of influence, we'll be going nice and slow over here. Check the fuel in these tanks. It's about time to hit spacebar. And ditch the weight. Oh, one more time. There we go. Oh, that's great. I wasn't even watching. And that worked out great. So we have 1,201 Delta V to get home. And it appears we would only need 100, not even 50. Would not need much at all. Let's see if I just can't target my ship. There's got to be, I think the bracket keys target ships that are nearby each other. I can't do it. So we're going to double click Kerbal, and that seems to work for me. Try one more time. Double click. It doesn't work. So if we burn retrograde at this point, we'll see this drop in. We don't need any maneuver nodes. Just like last time, I shoot for like 30k. If I'm this close and can control it, just get this down to like 30k. We'll need to do gravity burns to bleed speed eventually, but it's not an issue yet. F5 in case I mess something up and fly into the surface of the planet. Which, when you're 10,000 speed, is very possible. Okay, we're going to throw it on retrograde. Just makes it life easier. Check this. 29, yeah, that's going to capture us. Yep. So what I should have done first is broken that off. There we go. Hopefully that's not too close to me when it inevitably explodes. Oh boy. In for the show of your life, folks. In for the show of your life. Get away from me. I'd say in Kerbal life we're safe now. If that was real life, that's a serious problem. You can just see all that speed bleeding away. There it is. Sounded like it blew up. Heat shield doing its job. You can see ablation going down slowly. We are definitely going to come in hot here. Wouldn't that be a miracle if I landed on KSC? I honestly did not even plan that. Being this close is wildly impressive for me. That's incredible. Came in close. Alright, watching that parachute, ready to hit space whenever it won't destroy itself. Let's check the height it's going to open. There's mountains below us. Let's move it up a little bit. We'll do 2,000 because I can edit out all the boring stuff as it descends. That's it, guys. We did it. We had the first launch for science. The second ship we launched got orbit. The third ship we launched was able to fly by the moon and get us just enough science for fuel lines. This was ship number 4, and we just made it to the surface and back. And thank you for watching. I really hope that seeing somebody do this from the very beginning to this point helps somebody out there learn how to land on the moon. It's Mateo. Thanks a lot for your time. Have a great day, guys.